Kelly Melerine,
What's up?
actor, model.
Extraordinaire.
Yes. Yeah, man. So, how have you been doing?
Good, man. Good. Just I'm trying to make some things happen with this nonprofit.
Right. And okay, so you started this, right?
Yeah, me and my friend Ryan.
Okay. And it's called I'm Possible, kind of like a play on words of impossible.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And so, do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, so what we do, we get professional models, people with disabilities, throw them on a runway, show that everybody's beautiful and have a good time.
Yeah, so how did that come to start out? What was your inspiration for that?
Well, my son attended a school for all students with disabilities. It's a public school, limited funding. The public school funding principle was saying was based on the number of students, and there's only 150 students in the school. So she said her budget for the year was around $6,000. To build a handicap accessible playground would have cost them $300,000. So just thought of some ways we can try to generate some money. And just started the idea of doing a fashion show and putting the kids in there. And so with that, with the principal being able to share the photos and videos, in 5 years they've generated over $500,000.
So is it all set up now?
Dog, that playground is set up.
Hey.
They have an aquaponics farming system, and
But you're not done with that, right? You're going to keep going?
we're going to keep going with the school, and then we got our own that we do, on a larger scale with the Impossible shows.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you set all those up?
Just reach out to people I know from the fashion industry, get some, designers that are all willing to do something good, and photographers, models.
Mm-hmm.
Just come give these kids a star treatment.
Right, and your son has autism.
Yeah, he's severely autistic. So that's always, been a passion of mine to help others that, maybe in a similar situation.
Mm. Right. I mean, and I came over to your place once, or a few times actually. And I'll never forget, you're like, hey, when's your birthday?
That's right.
Like, November 29th. It's like, hey, Kay, November 29th, 2026. It's like, oh, that's a Friday.
Hell yeah.
What? Yeah, because like the way that I kind of took it was, although they have some sort of compromised access to parts of their brain, some of the other ones that are accessible are supercharged.
Yeah, it's on overload, dog. I mean, he's 22 and can't tie his shoes, but he can tell you when your birthday in 2028 is going to be.
Right. That's so crazy. But I mean, like, I feel like it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like a different thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning. You know what I mean? Like my memory is so bad. I'll see people that I haven't seen in years, but like, all right, like college is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times when I was in college, I wasn't of the right mind state anyway. But they'd be like, "Hey, remember this crazy thing?" Nope, not at all. They're like, "Dude, how do you not remember that? That was like my favorite moment from college was seeing you do something crazy shit.
Right.
You jumped over the car and like climbed up a trellis. Blah. How do you not remember that you did that?" I was like, "No, I don't. I had a lot of nights like that. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. You know what I mean?"
Right.
So I'm just saying, like, our people, and most people, have such a rudimentary access to basic things in their brain, like memory. You can't. If I showed you a photo of somebody and then I took the phone and I took the photo away, it'd be like, what color was their shirt? I don't know. What color was their hair? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's something, circuitry in some people, it's just not.
Yeah, it's fascinating the things that he can do, and that's my boy. But I'll run into people and I'm like, I don't know who the heck that is. I have no idea, but
Right.
Cade remembers everything about him.
Yeah, I think you were telling me a story one time where when he was really young, he met a dog, and then came back however many years later, out of when he wasn't a child anymore and he was an adult now.
Uh-huh.
He was like, "Hey, and remember the name? Like, hey, where's Sparky?"
100%.
Like, how do you were 3? You know what I mean, or whatever. It's like, how do you remember that? It's like, oh man, it's all up here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's never a dull moment at my house. I'm like constantly patching things and repairing things, or not repairing them anymore because I'm just kind of tired of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Now, does that come out of just? I mean, what are the antics like at your house?
I think like frustration with not being able to communicate. I remember my dad having a stroke, and then so he lost his speech for a while. And I mean, he was a grumpy dude to begin with, but he just started throwing things around the room, screaming and just cutting up real bad. And he did eventually regain his speech, and later he said that the words were there, just nothing would come out. So he'd just get pissed off and flip the table over, throw the dishes around the room.
That's that's crazy stuff, man.
So yeah, I can relate that to, for instance, with Cade not being able to verbalize what he wants, how he's feeling, and things like that. It's gonna just naturally get frustrated.
Mm-hmm. And through your organization, you've met. I mean, how many people have reached out to you for that?
Dude, we get like hundreds of people on a regular basis that are reaching out and asking if they can be involved, and just want to do things to make them feel like every other kid, every other young adult. I mean, I started doing, part of the I'm Possible, in addition to the fashion shows, is just having gatherings and get-togethers that are age appropriate. Because when Cade was graduating, after he graduated high school, I took him to an event geared towards young adults with disabilities.
Yeah.
So it's a brightly lit gym, and they're playing bingo and eating picnic food. And I was like, well, when's the last time a 21-year-old dude said, me and my boys are going to go play bingo tonight? So, it's just lame. We treat them like toddlers or senior citizens when he just might want to go out and get a beer.
Right. So, yeah, man. Cheers to that.
Heck yeah.
So, what is your future plans for the Impossible? I mean, this obviously the COVID has kind of.
Yeah, so that put it on hold for a bit. We've got some big plans that we want to get going. Thinking about a big Hollywood themed party and just have everybody dress as favorite celebrity. I mean, you can come as Kermit the Frog if you want, or you can come glam it up. Just make it a really cool event. Have cameras around to film them doing things, and it's all about making them feel special.
So, what are the the qualifications for being in that? Like, does it? It's not just. It's not just autism, right?
It's. I mean, we have people with physical disabilities, developmental disabilities. Really, just come as you are.
Mm-hmm. I got you. And do you walk with them?
In the shows, we have people that'll walk with people that may be a little skeptical to walk on their own. But, dude, if you come, you'll notice that some of these kids that, they're a little skeptical at first, but after being around everybody else backstage getting cheered on, they just want to go out and show everybody what they can do.
Yeah, so I guess there's not really a confidence issue
not at that point.
No.
Nope.
But at first, I mean, that sounds kind of scary. I mean, even for me, when they asked me, and we'll get into that as well, when they asked, Tony, our connection, it was like, hey, Dylan, do you want to come do runway? I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, man, you look like a model, man. You should come do. I am not a model, and I kept saying that. Like at the thing, it's like I am not a model. There's nothing about me other than I'm tall. That's the only trait that I have that I would consider to be like a model runway thing. And I was like, I don't know about that. So and the thing is that I've been doing entertainment for years now. So if you just will go up to some random Joe, hey, do you want to go walk down an aisle and a runway, and people are going to take photos of you, and you're going to be on all these publication sites, they'd be like, no, no. So it's great to see these kids and, whoever else that is involved with that they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you create the excitement, and it's good to see that they're willing to go out there and.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because that's a brave thing.
Yeah, they tear it up. We just did a photo shoot Sunday. This young couple with Down syndrome. Boyfriend's like, I'm not going to model. That's for girls. I tell you what, after spending some time doing that photo shoot with his girlfriend, he's going to be in the next show. He wants to do everything that we got going on. So, man, it's a huge confidence boost.
Now, when did you start doing this?
Well, I started doing modeling acting stuff back in the early 90s.
No, I just mean the impossible thing.
Impossible?
How long ago was this?
Last year, dog.
Last year.
Yeah.
And so it's already come this far.
Yeah, man.
Wow. So, what do you? I mean, is there any other plans for like maybe other types of media, like starting to do like acting or something else along those lines?
Yeah, it's just, like I said, just showing everybody that, you know, we've all got the same desires and the same hopes and dreams, and
Right.
hopefully this opens some doors for some people.
Yeah.
And you know, we're also looking at starting a business where we can employ people with disabilities as well.
That's great. That's awesome, man. So, and this all started out because sorry, you gonna throw something in there?
Yeah, I was gonna say nothing lame.
Nothing lame.
Nothing lame, dog. That's like the one rule.
I mean, hey, man, if it's like I said, if it's something worth doing, then you should do it. You know.
Yeah.
But so how did you kind of get into this whole thing? Because, like we said, like did you start out as a model or did you start out as an actor?
Well, it was just mostly, I guess, the modeling part back in the early 90s, and that was definitely a little different than it is today.
But you're not from here, right? You're not from Charlotte.
No, dog, I'm from the Bayou.
Right.
So I grew up along the Bayou outside of New Orleans and lived there until Hurricane Katrina kicked me out.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that you were there that long.
Oh, yeah.
So Katrina was in 2008?
2005.
Oh, 5. Sorry. Man, there's the memory thing. There's the memory thing.
So, yeah, so I can throw a mean shrimp net if you're ever interested.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the states where I want to go to, but I've never been. I've never been in that entire state, but I want to go to like New Orleans. That's one of them. Like Dallas, that whole area, kind of like the whole like middle South. I've really never been to at all.
You're missing out, dog.
I know, and I hear it because I have friends in Texas and that area where they're like, hey, or like New Mexico and stuff. Like, dude, why don't you come to the desert, man? It's hard.
Man, Texas is pretty cool, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I've been to what is it, Amarillo, which is like, you know, the little chimney on the top of Texas, like the little box on top of Texas. Yeah. It's in that the biggest town in that area, because I was driving from California to South Carolina in one shot, and it was just whoop, and I cut right through Amarillo, and I stayed there.
I'm gonna act like I know what Texas looks like with the chimney top and all that. So I just noticed the biggest one, if you got one of them little puzzles.
Yeah.
The big one is Texas.
So there's like a little stack on so it's the southern border, and then it comes up, and then it comes straight, and then there's a little.
Oh yeah.
It's in the middle of that. So and there was an attraction there. So I was filming a video that I still haven't made the whole thing, where I drove across the country, and then I stopped at all the best places to film and to shoot, like the tourist attractions in the country along that stuff. I think it was like Route 40 or something like that. Basically Route 66. Whatever is Route 66, right next to it, there's another big highway.
But down in the south.
In the south, yeah.
Got you covered.
So I went across that and stopped I stopped at like where the Oklahoma City bombing happened. I stopped at the house where they filmed Breaking Bad. And I just set a camera up and I ran across all these places.
Nice.
So like the whole bit was going to be like a montage of me running across America, because I was just going to splice them all together. But I filmed those clips 4 years ago, and I still haven't finished the rest of that video.
You sound like you got some driving to do.
Well, no. That part is done.
Oh, it's done?
I just have to film the why I'm running and what happens when I get here. And I have it done. I have it written. It's just kind of hard to do right now. And like, I have no excuse. That's the thing I've been sitting on forever. You know what I mean? But anyway, back. Sorry, I'm on a little tangent, but back to you. So you grew up, born and raised in the Bayou, which is like basically the swamps region, right?
Pretty much, dog.
Is the whole state a swamp?
Man, look. I have to drink on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been. That's like one of the only states I haven't been to. So I know the Bayou is like, I know from like the Water Boy, like where he
Oh
lives.
yeah, yeah. So a different bayou. I grew up a place called Delacroix Island. So spent all my summers on a shrimp boat with my dad. He paid me $10 a day. I thought to myself, if I work 7 days a week, that's going to give me $70. That's a lot of money.
So if you come from
broke.
that, but if you come from those like roots of like, shrimp fishing, how did you decide like, you know what? I think I'm going to start modeling. Because it seems like that would be like the last thing someone like that, If I told my dad I was going to start modeling in Boston, he'd be like, what? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? There's
So I met this lady called, her name's Karen Berthelot. She's actually the one that launched Britney Spears. When Britney was a little girl, she got Britney onto Star Search.
Really?
So yeah, I knew Britney back when she was a little tiny thing. And so I did that for a bit, and kind of like with most things, you kind of put things on the back burner, thinking that if I want to go do this, I'm going to have some money saved up. Cause
how old are you at this point?
maybe 20.
Okay.
So something like that.
Okay.
Could have been 20. But anyway, so I thought maybe, I'd go work extra hours, save up some money, and then go pursue it. Because I had an opportunity to go to Milan with Wilhelmina for 6 months for test shooting. And my wife and I had just gotten married. And so she was supportive, but I was just like, well, look, I'd go out there. I'm not going to make any money. I got to figure out a way to make money. We got bills here. And that's what gave me the idea that I would just go work extra hours and save up some money and then go do it. 20 years later, I realized I didn't save any money. so yeah, what happened there was that when my son turned 14, he became extremely violent, which I believe was because of medication that the doctors had him on. And so the doctors tried to tell me otherwise, that with autism and puberty, that's just the way it is. And it couldn't possibly be the medication. So my response was, well, you're telling me that a mind-altering medication can't make you act differently, when that's the whole purpose of taking the medication to begin with.
Right. And you see those commercials where it's like, if you take this narcotic or whatever they're selling, it's like, here is the side effects.
Yeah.
And the side effects are 500 pages long worth of, it could changes in appetite, changes in mood swings, thoughts of suicide.
Constipation.
Right. But you just like even neurologically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's a dramatic change in his behavior, and he just became, like I said, extremely violent, broke everything in sight. I'd be attacked violently trying to drive even a shortest distance. So it was like living with Freddy Krueger, and then we'd change up the medication. And next we got Chucky. So it was just one big horrible villain after another, because the doctor would just be like, well, it's a big dude, you got to increase his medication. Dang. So it increased it and it become worse. So I just had a gut feeling that it was the medications they had him on, and quit my job in banking, told the doctor to get lost, and stayed home and got him off the medication. The violence stopped immediately.
Wow.
So, and when I did that, that's when I just started dabbling in the whole modeling stuff again, just to see, I figured maybe I'm like in my 40s at the time, I can go do some, some like vitamin commercials or like insurance commercial, stuff us old folks do.
So how, you started in it, and then you kind of got completely sidetracked by making money and all, the necessary things you have to do, which we all got to do, because when you're starting out, there's just no option. Right. You're not just going to start making money immediately, hand over fist, for being an amateur at anything. No. Unless you're a hot girl on OnlyFans. And then you can become a millionaire overnight, literally. But yeah, so you started out when you were like 20, just going to like open casting calls and stuff, or?
Yeah, so definitely it was different back then. There wasn't the whole electronic submissions and things like there are now.
Yeah. I feel like that would make it easier and harder at the same time, because if you were even remotely talented, but we didn't have social media, then you were like, oh yeah, you're good. So there's not way less competition.
Oh yeah.
Right. But now it's way easier to get noticed because it's so easy to be able to talk to anybody anywhere in the world, right? So and you can put a video on YouTube, make a 10-minute video of you just being whatever, and then anyone can see it.
Right.
But with that comes everybody. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
But so so that's how you started out, though. Just kind of like you had to obviously show up to things.
Yeah, man. Look, I had my little comp cards. I had some photos on slides. And a handy little resume. And, you know, they would just send them on out and say, going out to this audition. So I ended up doing a few national commercials back then. And,
So you were actually an actor first.
Well, if you want to call it acting.
Yeah, see, because I'm neither actor or model, I don't really know the difference between like, oh, he's an actor, model, he's you know what I mean? Like how do you differentiate? Because like if you're in a commercial but you're just holding a product, are you an actor or are you a model? That's a model, right? But you're still doing in commercials. Like, so are you an actor as soon as you start speaking? As soon as you start like,
so.
Okay.
Could be. I don't know.
Right. So you were doing, what were the kind of commercials you were doing?
Oh, well, did a national one for American Express, Honda, Southern Comfort. So just a few things. And then,
Man, remember like the first time on a big set like that? What does that feel like?
nervous as hell. Because, it was all down in New Orleans, and, my hair tends to get a big, and it's extra humid down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, and look here, better start filming before I start pushing out on you. It's like, I don't think they want that look.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was a little intimidating at first, and then you just realize ain't nothing but a camera.
Right. But those were paid gigs, right?
Heck yeah.
I mean, if you're doing national commercials, that's usually...
Yeah.
So
it paid more than the shrimp boat did. Now, some of them people on the shrimp boat make a lot of money, but if your daddy's only paying you $10 a day,
right,
for doing all the work.
And so did he push you into going into that more, into acting? Because it's like, hey, my kid's doing national television commercials. Go do that. Like, whatever you need, you need $10 more?
Man, look,
you need gas money? Like, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Go to Hollywood. Go to New York. Go to Atlanta. wherever.
Yeah, my dad wasn't supportive of anything that wasn't manual labor, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like as soon as you see a little bit of success like that, like if I ever like the first check I ever got from being on camera, I was like, whoa, whoa, why can't I do this all the time?
Yeah, just for being a goofball.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Although I never did any. I actually did do commercials, but this is way after all the ridiculous other shit that I did. You know what I mean? But okay, so you're doing commercials. How consistent is that? Is that just like really rare, or kind of like one of those blue moon type of things?
Yeah, well, I'd say I did those 3 in 1 year. And that's when, like I said, I had the bright idea of going and save some work extra hours to save some money. Mm-hmm. Dog, it's hard to save money.
I know.
Shoot.
I know.
I realized, look, I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you're a creative person, sometimes it's hard to like look at a big, a bunch of zeros in your bank account and then be like, oh, that thing that I really wanted, I can now afford, but I'm not going to buy it. It's like an impossible thing to tell yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes, depending on like your economic maturity level, which I don't have any of, as you can probably tell by all the shit that I had. You know what I mean? It's just like as soon as I had like an addictive buying habit where it would be like I would work for my dad too in high school, and then I would just look at things and how many are. So for instance, tattoos. That was like my first thing. I was like, all right, if I work for 2 weeks, I'll make $200 or whatever. You know what I mean? And the tattoo I want is $300. or something like that. So I was like, all right, I'll just work extra hard this week. Maybe I'll get a little extra, and then I can buy the tattoo and have some left over. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I thought. I didn't even think of like having money. I was like, how much more do I have to work till I can get this tattoo? Right. So fortunately, I have a very fast moving mind. So as soon as I'm like addicted to something, once I feel like I'm done with that, I just move on, which is kind of like it's like both. It's like a blessing and a curse too. Cause it's like, if I really want to do like something like podcasting or I'm going to start doing like a fake news network. But like, once I feel like, oh, I've exhausted that, so let's move on to something else. But it's like, no, you got to stick with shit. You know what I mean? But the tattoo thing kind of ended once I went to college, and then I was like walking around, and I saw everyone with like these big headphones and the Jordan shoes, and I'm like, damn, I need to look good, like, you know what I mean? Walking around campus, I'm an athlete. I need to look like an athlete, so I need to drop $600 on a bunch of headphones and $1,000 on clothes and shoes. You know what I mean? So it's like, just bad money management. It's kind of, you know what I mean?
You, man.
But it takes fucking up to kind of realize, like, nah, what do you need, not what do you want? You know what I mean? So I think that's like like something to do. That's what maturity is going to bring.
Heck yeah.
Because you can't tell somebody that, hey, I know you want this right now. Don't buy it, even though you have enough money to buy it twice. Don't. Wait till you have enough money to buy it 10 times, then buy it. Nah, fuck you, I'm going to buy it right now. You know what I mean? You can't tell someone that with that mindset to save money.
Yeah.
But once you know what I mean? Once you become mentally mature.
Well, that and, in all honesty, I've always been pretty much the caregiver type person. So even back then, I said I wanted to save money, but, growing up along the bayou, I had to look out for my grandma who lived really poor and just other folks. I'm like, got to take care of them fools. I call grandma a fool. I'm sorry about that. She was pretty cool. But, just I always had that nature in me to take care of people, which, me ending up with the son who has autism, just like, I'm going to stick around for my dog.
That's what you were made for, man.
Heck yeah.
Because you have some of the craziest patience I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Because, like, not even from like all the stuff you go through with your son, just like like the time I came over and you were like, yeah, everyone was up real late getting shit faced and it got wild again. Like, I feel like, how old are you now?
52.
52. I feel like when I'm 52 and I have people run up drinking and stuff, I won't have the energy for that. You know what I mean? So kudos to you for being that, you know what I mean, cool about just like living life.
Heck yeah.
Because sometimes it's like it takes something that some people consider to be a disadvantage to show you that life is actually better than you think. You know what I mean?
100%.
And that's why you see sometimes poor kids have way more to appreciate in life than rich people do. You know what I mean? Like, that's why you see a rich person and they're depressed. It's like, what the fuck are you depressed about? Your life's awesome. Yep. They're like, I don't know. It's because I don't want anything. You know what I mean? I don't have any wants, and my family's whatever. They're all rich too, so fucking they're off doing their own shit. There's no connection. You know what I mean?
No connection, dog. Yeah, so you kind of lose that drive if you don't necessarily have to work to get to something.
Right.
And got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So you stop acting and doing the commercials. You already had your son at this point, right?
No, because that was like in the early 90s.
Okay.
And I just started working, trying to make a buck, but the problem was that it wasn't a whole lot of bucks. There's only so far you can stretch that. Mm-hmm. And then you realize you had it pretty good living at home.
Right.
So, but I still enjoyed every bit of it.
Mm-hmm. And so how long did you think you took off from doing that?
Ooh, about 20-something years. I just got that itch again.
That's crazy.
You start sitting around thinking, damn, I ain't getting any younger.
Yeah. So that was kind of like an early life thing that you did. And then did you still have any contacts? I'm sure you had to sign. Did you have an agent?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. And then the thing with that is that, like I said, you kind of put things on the back burner, but, if you've got the that artistic part of you that wants to create something that's going to stay there, and no matter how much you deny it, it's still a part of you. But I just had to get out and do what I had to do so I can take care of the people that I cared about.
But so what did your agent say then? When you were like, hey, I need to stop doing this and take care of these people and actually make money? He's like, all right.
No, I still did a little bit here and there, just wasn't as much because, if you've got to, have a steady job where you can take care of yourself, and they're like, well, look, we need you to go do this gig on Tuesday, and you're like, can't do it Tuesday.
Yeah, I get a 9 to 5.
Production companies are not going to work around your schedule.
Right.
So that was the idea of saving the extra money and then pursuing it.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of like actors in Hollywood are like bartenders or in the service industry, because they can just like cancel work. Just like, hey, can someone else pick up my shift? I got an audition. Yeah. Because if you have if you work in a corporate world and you're trying to do production or anything at all, literally, if you're trying to be an actor or a model or anything that requires you to be on call or a cat, you know what I mean? You can't do it.
Right.
You have to be, and unfortunately, that's the best paying jobs. So you're going to be working a shit job and be a celebrity on the side. Yep. You know what I mean? And I think we're seeing more and more of that now, where you see people who are famous but not rich. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You'll see some of these actors who are just literally doing anything they can to keep their revenue up, because they're like moving back home. Like I've seen some videos of like actually famous people in Hollywood. They're like, yeah, I've been off social media. I had to move back in with my parents. What? You had to do what? Well, the check stopped coming, and I didn't make as much as you honestly think I would make. You think like these main actors, they make like $20,000 a week on sitcoms and stuff. But you have to remember also, when you're not on sitcoms, you ain't making shit. And your agent is taking 10%. Your manager's taking 20%. Your taxes are 13% in LA. Your federal taxes are going to take another, because you're in a high bracket. They're taking it out. Now you're making like $30,000 as an A-list celebrity, and on top of that, your rent is $5,000 a month. Yep. That doesn't equate. That doesn't equal out. So you were like, "Fuck, I'm fucked. Mm-hmm. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Time to go back." And look, I know where they can make $10 a day if they want to go out. So, there's always that.
Right. So, how has it been since you've been back?
Oh, it's cool, man. I'll go back to New Orleans several times a year because it's just always has a really cool vibe to it.
You still got family there?
Oh yeah, man. Family's tight on the bayou.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it actually like is it like legitimately like the house from like Waterboy and stuff? Because when you ask someone that's not from there, right, and you're like, what is it like, or what do you picture when you think about like bayou, like shrimp on the barbie, whatever the fuck that is? Yeah. Or is that Australia? I think that's Australia. Shrimp on the barbie. I don't know. Anyway, you think of like, there's those like pussy willow trees with this fucking like what cotton shit flying everywhere, and you think of like fucking alligators and a house made out of logs sitting on a river. That's what, you know what I mean? That's what I think of. That's a very overgeneralized. Obviously, that's not what it is, but that's what I think of.
It depends.
It depends on where you are, right?
Yeah. So down in that area, there'd be a highway right alongside the bayou, and on the other side of the highway, there'd be houses up on stilts and stuff, so they can survive any sort of flood.
Right, like the houses in the Florida Keys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they're like, and like Cape Cod. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but they have houses like that up there as well. Yeah.
Well, this ain't no Cape Cod.
Yeah. I'm glad. I spent plenty of time on Cape Cod. That place is very pricey, very ritzy. You know what I mean? There's none of that. There's none of people wrestling alligators and shit. You're not gonna have none of that.
But you might.
Well, so what did your mom think about that? About you kind of like going into the acting? Because you said your dad wasn't really.
She's cool. She was always supportive of whatever.
So she was, whatever makes you happy, kind of thing. That's exactly how my mom is too, right?
Yeah, I remember getting nominated for the Louisiana School of Math, Science, and Art, which is in Natchitoches, Louisiana. My dad's response is, "What the hell you want to go to school way out there for, boy? They got school right here."
Okay, so it is the Water Boy, right? Remember? Just like,
Yeah,
what you went to school? What you want to go to school for anyway? You gonna play foosball down there? Oversized gorillas?
You know, like, well, I guess you're right. They do have school right here. Now, the school I went to, you can actually get out earlier before the school year ended if you were going shrimping.
Really? So they would actually like let you leave if you had a prior like schedule conflict.
Yeah, when shrimp season start, you know, you get to work.
Wow. It's like in high school and stuff.
Yeah.
Middle school too, or just the high school?
Just high school, as far as I remember.
Oh, that'd be funny. They're like, yeah, these 8-year-olds need to get out there on the boats.
That's right.
So yeah,
they got shrimp to pick.
Absolutely, that's crazy. Wow. So now that you've obviously up till March, you've been doing acting and modeling as well. Like you kind of came back, like you were saying. So obviously the whole scene's different now, right?
Yeah, it is a bit different now.
But but you lived here. You moved to Charlotte, right? And this is in that middle time where you had stopped doing all your.
No, I moved to Charlotte after Hurricane Katrina. Cause my wife's cousin lived in Belmont, right outside of Charlotte.
But is this in the same time when you weren't doing those?
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything. No.
Okay.
I was just straight up banking.
Gotcha. So how did you get back into it? What connections did you?
Just went out and got an agent and started just doing some stuff. And then just went out and met people and made some connections.
Just hustling, just going out there,
straight up hustling.
And so, were you on a sitcom, or were you were in a TV show, right, or something, or were you on? What was it?
Independent.
Okay,
films.
So that you've been mostly doing, just like smaller things.
Yeah, and then other commercial work, but that's about it.
So, but are you still doing that, or were you still doing it up till about March?
Yeah, for the most part, just doing that and whatever else I got to do to make a buck.
Right, but that's your passion, right? You still, you know what I mean? Do you write?
Do you write? Which is hard for a person who doesn't like to read to actually sit down and write. With me, I've always been the type that doesn't really. Yeah, I just can't sit still very long, so it's hard for me to sit down and watch a movie or TV show or read a book.
But those are the kinds of minds that make the best writers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just leave your phone, just go outside for a walk with a little notepad or something, and just walk around. And I mean, they say and I can attest to this because I consider myself first like a writer, then a videographer, then a whatever else, sound producer, whatever else. You know what I mean? Writing, it comes first. And most of my ideas spark from seeing real life scenarios play out, taking a shower, driving in the car, being on a plane, being in an airport, being in the world, not sitting around and going like, let me think of a premise. What if there's this guy and he's in a haunted house, but the ghost is really hot, so he doesn't know whether to be afraid or be turned on. Ugh. You know what I mean? That's not how I would ever think. You know what I mean? I need to be stimulated by something else. That's a funny thing that just happened that I saw, a traffic exchange, and that's right there could be a premise for an episode of whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then just kind of write that, because everyone has their inspirations, right? You like Friends, or you like Curb Your Enthusiasm. So if you're a writer, you kind of aspire to be like that. So you're going to create something, an ensemble kind of like that.
Right.
But it kind of stems from being over hyper in your mind, right?
Right. Because I can never sit down and watch anything. Now, if I went to the movie theater, I know I got to sit there, actually sit down and enjoy it.
Right.
But when I'm home, man, I got to get up and do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually sitting down to actually write a book it felt really good to do that. And I just wanted to get the story out
Yeah,
about with my son.
I was gonna get to that, but since you brought it up, yeah, how was that writing a book? So you're an author. You're a published author.
Yeah. So Don't Squeeze the Spaceman's Taco is the name of the book. Lessons learned from my son with autism. So it's just some random phrase that he would say because he always yells out random stuff.
Say it again.
Don't squeeze the spaceman's taco.
Don't squeeze the spaceman's taco. And
yeah.
did he just come up with that, or?
Man, a dude comes up with all kind of stuff. So he'll do that. He'll yell out random movie quotes, and and actually I would sit down with him to help build his vocabulary, but sitting down and watching movies with him. And next thing you know, he's yelling out some inappropriate Samuel Jackson lines in the middle of Target.
Oh man, that's not a good person to be quoting.
That's not good.
That man knows 2 words, and it's motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So, the thing is that when he's yelling out, I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Right.
You can explain that. But when he's in front of the mirror at TJ Maxx putting on sunglasses saying, fuck you, motherfucker, that could be anything.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so writing it is therapeutic, and I just wanted to get the word out and maybe inspire other people that are going through craziness, because the book is totally honest. It goes into graphic details about the attacks and everything else that he's gone through. And then, it's just finding humor and finding love and inspiration from it all.
Is it just autism that he has, or is there other things kind of connected with that?
No, with him, it's autism. He's just on the severe level.
They have medication for that, for autism? I'm sorry if that's a dumb question, dude. Listen,
that's what they claim.
I always tell people, I'm like, if I ask a question, it's like it's like offensive or something. Don't think I'm trying to be like, you know what I mean? It's just because I'm stupid. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
I don't know anything about like medication or anything. I've never been on.
Well, that's what started the whole downward spiral when he ended up getting on the one medications that made him violent, because he had been on different medications most of his life because it's whatever the doctor said. And as a parent, you're kind of hoping for that one miracle cure, and which is just wishful thinking because it's not going to happen. But you may, some medications may help him behave a little better, maybe focus a little more. But in all honesty, none of the medications he's ever taken has ever done him any good, and he's had a negative side effect from all of them. It's just you still have that hope, So you do whatever you think it takes to, do what's best for your child, and but we ended up going down a really dark road with him on that.
Is he still on medication, or
no?
He's just home with you, and so this time actually has probably been good for you guys, having just like spending more time at home.
I kind of realized I enjoy doing nothing.
Right. Well, I think what this whole time, not to get too far out of, we'll come back to your book in a second, but not to this whole time kind of is like showing people that most of what we're doing now and in the future is going to be done from home. There's like, if it can be done from home, it's going to be done from home. Like all these jobs that are just people in cubicles that don't even come into contact with people who they're sitting next to. Why are they going to work? You know what I mean? I mean, in the future, I assume everything's going to be either automated or done online from a home base.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people would be more comfortable and probably more productive with. You know what I mean? Right. But then there's people like me who I couldn't in college, I couldn't do work if I was in my apartment. Right. I had to go to the library because if I'm in my apartment, I'd be like, all right, well, let's turn the TV on. My roommates would come in, dude, fucking, let's lit up a bong. You know what I mean? So it's I can't fucking focus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something will catch my eye, and then I'll be like, let's go do that for a second. You know what I mean? We'll come back to this homework. But most people who are sane, not like me, they would, like you were saying, you kind of want to be at home. People are more comfortable there.
Yeah, and then, if you have a situation where you have a child with disabilities or any sort of special needs, to be able to work from home is it's a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, because you don't have to worry about finding somebody to stay with your kid.
Right. And
especially as an adult.
Is there any way for him to make an income?
There's programs that'll help them find little odd jobs here and there. He would go, what they have for him, he would actually attend the job with a job coach that stays with him, which is pretty cool because they dress like every other employee there, the coach I'm talking about, so it doesn't look like it's somebody just watching over them. So there's some pretty cool programs like that, but I do want to start one myself because my boy ain't doing nothing lame.
Right. Yeah, I never really thought of that. Is there any programs in place that help families with kids or children who are disabled, whether that's physically or mentally, and they can't work because they're pretty much going to live with their parents their whole lives? Like, you know what I mean? So is there any kind of like structure socially to like help them, navigate life?
There's some things, I mean, that have really long waiting lists for, and they can get a therapist of some sort that will spend a few hours with them. For instance, Cade's actually approved for maybe 30 hours a month of like a one-on-one with a coach to go with him, just to get him out in the community, take him to take him on walks, take him to go shopping, do things that any other member of society would do just to...
Right. And I imagine, like, with the brain on that kid, that you would be able to fucking put him in a position that would... It's like, dude, you showed this... He's a photographic memory.
Uh-huh.
Like, that is more rare. You know what I mean? That's a very desirable trait to have. So whatever it is, you know what I mean? I don't know how you would implement that into, whatever, but I assume you would need somebody who can remember everything.
Right.
Or just be good with dates.
But the moment he quotes Samuel Jackson at work, he might get in trouble.
So put him in a, you know what I mean? Give him a job where he's not, he doesn't have to watch his mouth. Uh-huh. He's like maybe working in an office where the guy he's working for or whatever, he's like a secretary. It's like, hey, when's this? Oh, it's on Thursday at 2. Motherfucker! You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Something like along those lines. But great. I mean, I don't know. It's so, and you go through all that in your book though.
Oh yeah.
Like all the things.
Yeah, and then we take care of my wife's brother also, who had brain damage at birth, and he's 48, but he remains on a 12-year-old level, which is a pretty cool age to be. So he's a lot of fun. He sings karaoke all day. He's always wanted to be independent, so he has a part-time job, rides a scooter, takes care of himself, and comes back and sings.
Good. See that? So now your home life must be just a fun place for you to be.
Well, you could call it that.
Because you, like I said, I was telling you before we recorded, like you have such a positive outlook on life. You know what I mean? Like you are a very. I haven't been around you a ton, but I've never seen you you're always like chill. You're always, you know what I mean? Matthew McConaughey from Days to Confused. All right, man. Hey, if that's cool or not, that's cool too, bro. That's who you are.
But I tell you what, it's like, after dealing with them big, massive meltdowns, you realize shit ain't that bad.
Right.
No need to sweat all those little things that people get worked up over.
Right. And
I ain't worried about it. Look.
And I noticed when I was at your house, you have patch marks, all over your walls, and you kind of just leave them patched but not painted because there's really no point. But it's kind of like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, once in a while I get the inspiration to go paint it and then realize, man, that was a dumb move because there's a big hole right next to it now.
Right. But it's not that, it's drywall, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even at the end of the day, it's like, it's a story.
It ain't that bad.
You know what I mean? It's a scar, but it's not, it's not worth getting all, you know what I mean, pissed off about. Because that's just going to exacerbate things and make everything worse, You're
like, it is what it is.
So, and your book's recent, right?
Yeah, it came out last year. So, like I said, it's just filled with a lot of inspiring stories and kind of going through the really rough, challenging things and coming out of it with a different outlook, more positive spin on it when it's all said and done.
Wow, that's crazy. And has your outlook on this kind of changed over time?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, you can either let it beat you down and just, lose your mind and go cry a bit, or you can just put a little spackle on a while and chill out.
That's great, man. That's awesome. Now, have you, just to change topics a little bit, have you heard that Charlotte is opening a new cinema for local film student or local film videographers, local, artists? I don't remember the name of it, but I sent you the link.
Yeah, I saw that, man.
They're open in it, and they're going to be film festivals there, and there's going to be they're going to be like holding contests for who gets their film in the movie theater. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be all local stuff, and I think that would be a perfect thing for you and Ryan, your videographer. And if you need someone to do whatever else, I'd be more than happy. Yeah, but how, do you think that there's maybe a move towards, because Charlotte used to be a hub for film and video and all this. Right. There was Homeland was filmed here. Deuce Bigelow, or one of those movies, was filmed here. One of those Jack Black movies too. It's like this used to be a base for film on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's kind of going to be a push sometime soon because everyone's moving out of LA.
Right.
Everyone's moving out of New York.
That'd be good, man. It's just the fact, anything like that encourages art. It gives any artist a chance to, just to create and put their work out there. It's I'm down with it, man. That's
why you need to get down and start writing, because I'm sure you got some crazy ideas because you've had a wild life, man. And I think you need to get going on that.
I might.
But for real, I would love to have something play, even if it's a small thing. Because have you ever seen Evil Dead?
Yeah.
So Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, who are now huge, you know what I mean? They're the biggest. Oh well, Sam Raimi directed all the Spider-Man and Evil Deads and all those, and then obviously Bruce Campbell was in all the Evil Deads, Army of Darkness. He was in Burn Notice. They filmed that when they were like 20, the first one, the one that has like a freaking 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, and it just aired like in their little cinema in like Michigan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think like even if it's that small of a you're not going to pitch it to a big, a big company. You're not going to go walk into Sony Pictures tomorrow and be like, look, I have the script. We can just film it ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of, you got to be everything. You got to be the writers, the producers, you have to come up with the budget. You have to come up with the props. You're responsible for the actors, all the gear, the lighting, the scenes, the fucking sets, design, the artist, the hair, the makeup, every fucking thing. But I think that there's some sort of, you know what I mean? Like there's something in that where it's like, I did everything for this movie.
Heck yeah, man.
And now it's playing in a movie theater and people are going to it. And then they're throwing tomatoes at it. You know what I'm saying? But no, I think that's it. It will be cool, and it's going to be motivating for people because it's like one of my biggest things with Charlotte is like there's not enough film here.
No,
this is a city with over a million people. Where are all the creative people? I feel like I know most of them. You know what I mean?
They're all home complaining. They're all home complaining that there's nothing to get out and do.
But dude, that was one of the things. It's like because when you're independent producer for film, you're just going to cast your friends as the actors, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to try to get the most out of them,
right?
But it'd be a lot easier in time, you'd spend a lot less time coaching them up if you actually had some creatives with you.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I've like put out like casting calls for whatever I was trying to do on Craigslist and shit. There's like no one, because I can't like pay people. So I'm like, hey, like I'll have like a pizza party. I'll order pizza and beer, come over, we'll hang out, and then we'll film this thing. Just like trying to get some sort of incentive. You know what I mean? That seems to be okay, but it's hard to, in this city at least, find people who just as creative as you. And that kind of comes back to, it's like, what is your actual interest? Mm-hmm. Some people don't have an interest. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they fucking eat, and they go to bed.
And do it again.
And it's like, what the fuck is your passion? If that's all that wakes you up and you just want to acquire wealth but have no means to use it, what is the fucking point? Like, if you don't have any desire at all.
Dog, I don't get it, man.
Like, I'll never understand someone that doesn't have a creative bone in their body. They're just like, yeah, I just wake up and I go work and whatever, and I make a 6-figure income and fucking hate my life. It's like, what? Sorry, we lost power. What was it talking about? Something about some pussy or something? No, I was kidding. Yeah, but anyway, so I think the big takeaway from all this is just, I think we were being given an opportunity to kind of regroup, and that's why you're seeing, like, I started a podcast in the middle of a pandemic,
right?
When you would think that everyone is kind of getting away from each other, I'm like, no, let's just bring them closer. You know what I mean?
Regroup, refocus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to try to get kind of like scripts off the ground. You know what I mean? And that's why I like talking to somebody like you, because you actually have way more experience than I do with, you know what I mean, scripted television and all this kind of stuff. And you know what I mean? I think that you would be a perfect person to work with for all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Let's make something happen, dog.
Like we did the Walker Nash video.
Pussy fuckers.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and I think right now would be the perfect time to kind of like collab with, just kind of get things started, so that when shit eventually does become normal again,
right,
we have a head start on everybody. You know what I mean? Although I think we're gonna see like a fucking sonic boom of content as soon as this thing ends. Soon as it ends, because you know every writer is just fucking.
They've been holding it in.
They're just sitting at home letting loose on the pad and paper. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you're a rapper or a singer, you better have 3 albums coming out by the time all this shit is over. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
Because it's like, I kind of adopted this new thing where I was talking to my girlfriend and she was like, you know, you have all this gear, you know what I mean? You have all these scripts and shit. Why don't you ever like fucking do anything with it? And I was like, yeah, well, you know, I just need this and this before no, bitch, just fucking do it. Yeah. And I'm just like,
there's always something else you need.
You're kind of right. Yeah, right. For me, it's gear. And I've talked about this 1,000 times, but it's just so true. It's like, because I'm very gear oriented. I know this is the kind of gear you need at this point. This is the right settings for all the shit, you know what I mean, for the camera, for the recorder. This is the right microphone you need, and this is the, you know what I mean, to a T. All that shit is like, that's what I think about. I'm watching reviews, gear reviews, all this shit. It's like, dude, and this is kind of back to what I was saying, like where I've adopted this new idea where it's like, let's say for instance you have 6 months to live, and I ran this through my head 100 times. It's like, if I found out I had a terminal illness tomorrow, right, and I had 6 months to live, what would I do? Do you know what I would do? I would sit down with all my work, and I would throw my phone in the trash, and I would perfect to my ability, my most ability. I'd try to perfect every script I have. The ones that I wrote for me to film, I would film them. The ones that I wrote to pitch, I would pitch them to somebody. And that would be my legacy, because I feel like you, as a creative person, you were put on that earth for that purpose, right? So I feel like I'm here because I have a very, in my opinion, I only think about writing. I only think about scripts. I only think about narrative. I only think about satire. You know what I mean? I only think about that kind of thing. So it's like, if I don't do that, then I'm doing myself a disservice. And everybody else, I feel like that I could be entertaining, doing them a disservice. So I have this new thing where it's like, I try, no one's perfect, but it's like, if I'm doing something that is not helpful, like scrolling on the phone, watching a movie by myself, not to like, with a friend or somebody, not building a bond with somebody, just like, dicking around.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what you could be doing right now? You have all this downtime. You're now doing work from home. It's like, why don't you be writing? Why don't you be perfecting shit? Because all the people who are perfecting their shit, as soon as everything opens again, you know what? They're going to be in the fucking producer's office. They're going to be at the table. They have a seat at the table, and you need to be there as well, or at least in the conversation. You can't just be like, "Hey man, so how's that thing going?" "Oh, well, I like I did, like how we started this podcast. Yeah, I filmed this thing 5 years ago, and it's I've never finished it." Well, why? What is your excuse? If you died, no one would fucking that's all for nothing.
Right.
So finish. If you start something, finish it.
Well, I can tell you from experience, if you're gonna put off what you really want to do until the time is right, because you got to do this, you got to get gear, you got to do whatever. Next thing you know, 20 years have gone by, and you're like, what the hell just happened?
That's beautiful. That's right. That's you. That's your story.
100%.
Oh man, good. I'm so glad you came here, dude. That is like that. If that's the only thing that I could walk away with, that's a motivating factor right there. So, yeah, man. I just hope that everybody finds out what they want to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And for you, if it's not acting, you at least have your family and is it a foundation? Should you call it a foundation? I Am Possible. It will be a foundation.
It is. We do. Yeah, it's officially a nonprofit now.
Good.
And everything's just kind of on hold at the moment.
Right. So that right there, like that, pretty much, that same passion that you have. I don't like reading. I don't like writing, but I sat down and wrote a book and got it published.
Yeah.
Because I believe in this so much, and I believe that this is going to help somebody else and myself. And maybe someone else that didn't notice this type of stuff, like me, or like anybody else that's like me, who never experienced something like that. Yeah. It's beneficial for them to see and read and be around people that have experienced something else. Because if you live in an echo chamber and everyone else around you is the same as you, right, you're never going to learn anything. Like my dad, when he dropped me off at college, he goes, "You're going to learn so much." I'm like, "Yeah, the classes are going to be fine." He's like, No. You're going to learn so much. Just by leaving New England and going and living in the South. You don't even have to go to class. Well, you do, but you don't even have to go to class to learn a fuck ton about life and people and being around different people, and you are going to grow exponentially from this. And that's why I appreciate like a book, the kind of book that you wrote, where it's showing people in depth and not being afraid. You're not going to sugarcoat this. You know what I mean?
Nope.
This is what the life is.
It is. And then, like I said, a lot of it is pretty much hell. But you look at, you learn so much from it. The biggest thing is that all this petty crap that we bicker about just really don't mean jack.
Right. Yeah, man. And it's crazy. And unfortunately, we live in such a divided time right now. Mm-hmm. And it's good to have someone like you that's like actually trying to bring people together. So is there anything else you're working on, like your current endeavors with acting or modeling? No. I know this is a bad time, but maybe. What do you have planned for the future?
Guess I'm gonna patch up some more holes when I get home. That's always a good time. Just really, I want to really focus on moving forward with the events that we host for people with disabilities and families, just to get together, blow off some steam, get the business going. Where we can employ some people with disabilities and see what happens.
Awesome, man. Now, where do you think like the future of this whole thing is going to end up? Are you hopeful? Do you have some big plans for the future, or you just kind of taking it year by year?
Yeah, I kind of live my life just winging it. So, but no, with this, we do have it planned what we want to do, and we're just going to take this one step at a time and create these big social events, and then just like I said, it's primarily just to get people out and feel good about themselves, and let the families go out and not worry about their kids making noise, because they usually just stay home because they're worried so much about how their children will behave or how people will react to their child. And you ain't got to worry about that with us.
Yeah, it's crazy too how you have two passions in your background, in your repertoire, and you've combined them, so you kind of get to do both at the same time. Yeah. It's modeling and it's helping the disadvantaged kids and people in the world. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's kind of like parlaying one aspect of your profession into another thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so, where did that first start? Where you're like, you know what, this is a thing that I want to do. Where it's like, I'm sure you must have had that thought, and then I don't know if you've ever second guessed that at all. Like, this isn't going to work.
Well, I just want I want my son to be able to do the same things as everybody else. And I know that other people with disabilities they have that same desire. They want to be treated like everybody else. I know, and I found myself guilty of this, where I've come across somebody who is severely disabled and maybe can't speak or can't move, and I start thinking, to myself, it's like, I don't know that they're going to understand me, so I maybe tend to talk to them like a child when it's an adult. So I learned that just treat them like everybody else, and if they might not be able to give you that response that you're looking at, it doesn't mean they don't know everything that you're saying or how you're making them feel. So just treat them like one of the boys.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you've touched so many people through this whole thing, and you're a saint amongst men.
My dog. My dude. Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you're trying to get off your chest? I love that shirt, by the way.
Bam. Love someone with autism.
That's great, man. Well, look, I think what you're doing is great, and I've been following you for a while, and I'm a big fan of yours. I think you're very talented. I've come over your place with scripts before, and you know what I mean? You're very easy to work with, and you're a very nice person, and you know what I mean?
My boy.
Sometimes it's frustrating for me because I hope to be like that one day. I'm a little bit more of a head case than you are. So you're not only an inspiration to like these kids, you're an inspiration to other people as well. And you show people that, you can be a good person no matter how bad your circumstances are. And you can mix your dreams with other things that will help other people as well. Because not all the time, you have dreams where it's very inclusive. Right. You know what I mean? Like, my dream is to get my thing out there, and it's hard right now to like try to be like, how could I help other people? Mm-hmm. Because I'm trying to help myself before I help, you know what I mean? That's kind of like the name of the game. It would be good to, you know what I mean? Because if everyone thought like that, if everyone was very kind of self-centered, then nothing would get done. Yeah. So, I mean, at least in the here and now, but you're kind of like surpassed that, and you know what I mean? You gave up your passion to help people. That's so rare. You're a freaking fossil.
Still do it again, man.
You're a fucking diamond in the rough, my friend.
I'm looking for 20 years from now so I can go back and say, well, what happened there?
But is there any regret in you for taking that time and not, you know what I mean, and not like really taking yourself to the forefront of your desires and like actually putting yourself out there to be a model and an actor and being the next Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever, and like actually being like, you know what is more important right now? I need to get this taken care of, and I need to make sure the people in my life are taken care of, and I need to make sure that I'm a provider before I'm a celebrity or whatever. You know what I mean?
Nah, no regrets.
Good.
Just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you start thinking like, what would have happened if I would have done this or that, and then it's like, well.
But what would you have missed out on?
Exactly. So I don't regret anything.
Right, man. Well, I thank you so much for coming on here, dude.
I've
been trying to get you on. I've been trying to get you on for like a few weeks now.
I had so much going on, Sit down on a chair for a bit and do nothing.
Yeah.
Lay on the couch and do nothing.
But you had something to do.
No, we were doing a lot with the organization.
And you were filming, right?
Yeah. We've been playing around with some film work. And
So, real quick, what do you think the future of film is going to be? Like the future of filmmaking? Do you think it's going to be all like online? Do you think it's going to leave the LA market and the New York market, and it's going to be more just into entrepreneurial producers and writers doing it from their home state? So there is no more Hollywood, New York lifestyle. It's going to be people are going to get funded to film their own shit, or they're going to it's going to be like satellite crews to film in places. Right. Or do you think it's kind of going to be like always going to be the hub is going to be LA, and there's still going to be that vast, densely condensed population of everyone of broken dreams, horribly broken dreams? Just a quick anecdote.
Yeah, but just like any other job where you find out that you can actually do the work from home, I can certainly see that with film as well. It's
gonna film. Yeah. I had a bit in mind when I first moved to LA, because when I got off the airplane, there was a train that takes you to where you're gonna go, and I got on the train with all of my bags and shit. Now I'm from Boston, where the trains are always packed, and you just kind of stand off to the side and hold on, right? And so the trains are slow in Boston. Trains in LA are fast because there's a ton of fucking space that they need. It's miles and miles and miles, right? It's like fucking 50 miles across. So those trains, take off fast too. But there's so many of them, and they're so big that there's a lot of space. The first thing I did when I got on the train in LA was I get on, I put my bags down, I'm sitting like this. The train takes off. I instantly go back. I put my hands out like this, slap every person on both sides of the train. Smash against the back wall in the very back car. Fall down. My face lands in a like jizzy, spitty fucking wad on the middle of a newspaper. Even the homeless guy sitting right next to me was like, "Jesus, dude, you gotta get your life together. You gotta get your fucking shit together." And I was like, what? All my shit's everywhere. Everyone's pissed at me that I smacked their children in the face going on my way down. Homeless guy fucking steps over me in pity. He threw $1 down on me. And then when the doors open and everyone walks out, I'm the last one. I got fucking shit coming off my face. I'm crying. And it just says, "Welcome to Los Angeles, where all your dreams will come true." That's LA in a nutshell.
Welcome.
That is LA in a nutshell. So I hope we can bring things back. I hope we can start shit off in North Carolina and bring people along with us. You know what I mean? Help people along the way as best we can, and fucking make some great content, make something amazing.
Heck yeah. I'm down with that, man.
Cool, brother.
All right, brother.
It's great talking to you.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.